This year, we watched 75 movies and shows. Of those, 49 were first-time viewings. That's 48% fewer movies than we watched last year, with a genre breakdown of 31% horror, 27% comedy, 13% adventure, 12% action, and 4% of both drama and musical. All year, we only watched one fantasy film and one documentary. Of those 75 films and shows, we absolutely loved about 15% of them, really enjoyed 40%, thought 28% were good, did not vibe with about 15%, and actively hated 3%. Of those films, here are our top 10 recommendations. I hope you had a great year, and I hope you find something to love in this list. But first, the honorable mentions. Raising Arizona, The Fall Guy, Moon, Babes, Enola Holmes 1 and 2, Furiosa, The American Dream and Other Fairy Tales, Hush, Panic Room. Number 10, A Boy Called Christmas. What does it take to make a Christmas classic? In the past, staples of the holiday were often simply the movies played repeatedly on television during the season each year. Sometimes this even resulted in box office bombs becoming unquestioned kings of Christmas. For example, It's a Wonderful Life. The entertainment world has become quite a bit more decentralized since then, and it's getting harder and harder for a singular film to make any kind of cultural impact, much less a film without any theatrical or physical release, living out its days as a forgotten poster on an endless scroll of questionable exclusive content on some woe-begotten streaming service. Case in point, A Boy Called Christmas. Filled to the brim with adventure, sweetness, and Christmas cheer, A Boy Called Christmas would undoubtedly be a Christmas classic were it released in a different time. Number 9. Pokémon Concierge. If Chamomile were a TV show, it'd be Pokémon Concierge, a low-intensity, handcrafted labor of love that is as heartwarming as it is beautiful. It's easy to dismiss anything tied to a long-running IP as capitalist cash grab product, but the tender care packed into each frame makes it clear Pokémon Concierge is not mere frivolity. It is art. Number 8. Oddity. They sure don't make gothic horror like they used to, is what someone who's never seen Oddity might say. The opening sequence alone is tense on a level few films can muster in their entire runtime. Best way to go into this movie? Blind. Number 7. Fallout Season 1. The extremely rare example of a video game adaptation living up to its namesake, Fallout dodged a bullet by not adapting any of the games directly, but by telling a mostly original tale set in the same world. It's grimy, it's shocking, it's, oddly enough, full of hope. Number 6. Adaptation. A struggling screenwriter faces an impossible job, adapting a book with no conflict. It's a lyrical memoir, beautiful, but not a great candidate for the silver screen. So what's he do? He writes a movie about a struggling screenwriter who faces an impossible job, adapting a book with no conflict. Adaptation is a funny, bleak deconstruction of the film industry while also providing a canvas for Nicolas Cage to act his heart out. A filmmaker's film, if I've ever seen one. Number 5. Emma. A great story is often refined in the retelling. Emma, the book, is a classic for a reason, an often hilarious deep dive into the mind of a protagonist who is her own personal antagonist. It's made for some quite good films in the past, though this version is easily the prettiest. Number 4. New Life. This isn't the movie you think it's going to be. I don't want to tell you more than that, but you're in for a great time. Number 3. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It would have been easy to make the sequel to the reboot of Planet of the Apes a simple sci-fi action movie, but the filmmakers behind Dawn of the Planet of the Apes clearly had different goals. Not only does this movie balance some pretty complex themes and character arcs, but it handles it with such confidence and nuance that it almost comes off as Shakespearean. It's not just a good film, it's one of the greats. Number 2. Thelma. Not content to simply trot out the same tired jokes about aging, Thelma instead offers a more grounded approach to a very wacky premise. The narrative's refreshing take on elderly protagonists is both profoundly silly and deeply emotional. It's certainly a crowd pleaser, but the rare kind, which leaves your head and heart fuller than they were before. Number 1. Riders of Justice. Sometimes terrible things happen to innocent people for absolutely no reason. Or do they? One man's search for answers kicks off a domino chain of events, packed with offbeat characters brimming with complexity. The film is equal parts joy and horror. Our heroes are capable of terrible things. There's a gloom that blankets the many laugh-out-loud moments, a sense of sorrow that dampens the thrilling action sequences. This movie breaks the heart while consoling the soul in tandem. Riders of Justice is criminally underseen. Fix that. On behalf of our little family over here, we hope you had a nice 2024. Here's to an even better 2025.